to introduce two people for the reasons that I'm here. And that is Linda Steele, who is the Engagement and Outreach and Engagement Officer for Arts Memphis, who is over the grant that Blue City Cultural Center, Prism, Theater Memphis, New Ballet, and Visible Music School, all got a grant to work in Orange Mound. And then we have the 1968 Nine. Get it right. My husband wrote that. Not nervous, Melrose homecoming queen.
Miss Melrose.
Miss Melrose. Beverly. I gotta turn over 1953 Miss Melrose. I'm gonna turn over to the two of you. I'm gonna sit down.
I'm just thanking everyone to be here today. I'm going to be in the back taking notes because we're actually going to try to seek more funding from national funders to help us with this work. So this is a long story, but Arts Memphis essentially wanted to kind of change the way that we're doing business and really look at other ways that other foundations, United Arts Funds, and grant makers were doing their work. And I've been hired to lead essentially what's called a place-based philanthropy. So rather than project-based, which is usually the way grant makers make their decisions, we are leading an effort that's place-based. So the two neighborhoods that we are really pouring our resources in are Orange Mound and the South Memphis neighborhood, including Soulsville. So in Orange Mound, we had a fellows program, and we got a number of arts organizations to really learn about the skills they need to have in order to do this kind of work. And basically, we're using arts as a strategy to address community change, to address neighborhood change, to address social change. And so we have 5 projects, and that decision was made via a grant panel. And as Deborah said, those 5 projects are in Orange Mound. 3 of them are in Orange Mound, and that's Theater Memphis and Blue City Cultural. Visible Community School partnered with Prism. And we also have New Ballet on School and Ensemble. So we have 3 projects here. We have 2 in the South Memphis neighborhood, and that's Ballet Memphis, as well as the Soulsville Foundation. What I'm really pleased about is both of them have a storytelling project in each neighborhood, and you'll learn more about that through these guys here. But once again, very happy that this is happening. I'm just sitting in the back and taking notes, so thank you so much.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. And I apologize for being a bit tardy. I was trying to meet with some of my donors. This is my last day at the National Civil Rights Museum. So because it's my last day, I've been trying to get in lots of meetings to say thank you to many of the people who supported the museum, because we wouldn't have, that museum would not be what it was without folks who supported it, people who come to it, invite your families there and your church groups and everything. So I am a resident, or I have for years been a resident of the Beltlines community, and many of you know that's through the subway. Any of you who know Orange Mound, that's through the subway. But I claim Orange Mound because I used to hang out over here so much at Melrose High School. And I went to the original Melrose High School, that great class of 1969. And it was a great class of 1969. So my heart is still in this community and always will be. Over there at Melrose Stadium, I used to be cheerleader in junior high school. We called it junior high. We didn't call it middle school then. Larry Finch and Ronnie Robinson were on that award-winning team. So those were my colleagues when I went to Melrose. So Melrose has a rich history and a rich heritage. It dates back to 1890 when the community was first really established. And also what many people don't know is during the 40s and 50s, it was viewed and recognized as a community where African Americans owned their homes. It was the biggest African American community in the country. And in the 70s or 80s, it was recognized as being the biggest African American community outside of Harlem. So we have many distinctions as a community. And I think it is tremendous that you're getting together now to begin to think about the 125th anniversary and all of what that means. So we know that a lot of people are doing a lot of things, but we need to figure out how to get all of that together and how to create some kind of master plan that can be publicized and communicated to everyone. So, and this is what I would call not a traditional focus group. I've been a facilitator of many Fortune 500 focus groups, but it is a focused discussion around this 125th anniversary that you will be planning, and I know it will be grand because everything we do in Orange Mound is grand. And for those of you who don't know, you better ask us because we can share with you some of the things that have been done over time. But as we go around the table and each of you have an opportunity to introduce yourselves, I want you to tell me, one, what you do, and two, if there are specific things that you will be doing or are planning around this 125th. And why don't we start with, and I need a scribe who can make sure that they are taking comprehensive notes. I know we got a video. Thank you. What's your name?
Tamara.
I love you, Tamara. I already love you. So thank you in advance. Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the center. I'm Mary Mitchell. I'm chair of the Melrose Center for Cultural Enrichment, and one of my board members, Dr. Levis, is here. And what we are doing for the 125th anniversary, and we're just so delighted to do it. We're working in concert with Dr. Harold Van West. He's a Tennessee state historian, and he was here with his students yesterday. So they are going to do the history of the 6 churches in Orange Mound that are over 100 years old. And they are also going to do the research on the families, the generations of families who lived in homes here that are over 100 years old, I think from 100 down to maybe 65. So they definitely are going to do that. So Melrose Center for Cultural Enrichment is greatly involved in that. And Melrose Center for Cultural Enrichment has also just set out just a kind of a calendar of categories, since we plan on celebrating this for a whole year, of things that we would do on a monthly basis. Honoring our matriarchs and our patriarchs is one of the things that we want to do. Honoring the foundations that really made this a great community. And I was born here 7 to 8 years ago, went to Melrose just as Beverly did. And so we are involved, totally involved and committed at that level. And now on yesterday, when Dr. Carol Van West and his students went to Melrose, the principal there, Mr. Neal, he in turn wants them to create part of the 125th anniversary, but also ongoing, or an exhibit hall, and they have space and everything. So our organization is very much involved, and I just would like to say that we really took the lead to promote the fact that it is our 125th.
Very good. Thank you very much for doing that. It's important.
Good morning. My name is Luella Marshall, and I'm the president of Orange Mound Veterans and Neighborhood Association. And the association is kind of new, but our idea for the veterans is to be involved with the redevelopment of Orange Mound because of their skills that they already have, and we have a lot of blight that we want to tackle in Orange Mound. And I know that they can be very helpful with that. And we're gonna have a celebration for them on Veterans Day at Orange Mound Park at Grand and Cohen's from 11 until 2.
Awesome.
So
Thank
it'll
you.
be our first year.
All right.
And it's good to have me on this. And it's on.
Thank you very much, Ms. Marshall. Hey.
Hello, my name is Tiana Piles and I'm with the Orange Mound CDC. It is our plan for the 125th to host, I'm sure you all are familiar with Memphis in May. Well, we're going to do Orange Mound in October. And so there's going to be a barbecue contest and a car show. as well as some other things as we layer the event, a health fair, and some other things while we have the crowd. Of course, we have to educate and hold their attention. So I also am liaison to a few other Orange Mound organizations. So as Ms. Mitchell said, we plan on having all year long. So with the school, they'll be doing something for Black History Month, and other organizations throughout the summer will be doing things, especially for our youth. So it should be a wonderful, adventurous year.
I didn't get your last name. What's your
Piles.
Piles? P-I-L-E-S?
P-Y.
P-Y-L-E-S. Great. And you're the old Orange Mound CDC?
Yes, I'm a board
Okay.
member.
Good. Okay. Super. Leslie?
I'm Leslie Levers. I'm director of the Art Museum at the University of Memphis, and I've been involved with the Melrose Center for Cultural Enrichment for a decade. And we founded it about 9 years ago, about,
Been working on a long time.
and been working on it for a long time, and Mary's already explained where we're hoping to go, but we're also trying to explore having the concept. We originally were founded around the idea of saving Melrose School and repurposing it and having as part of it the Orange Mound Heritage Center. And we haven't ever given up on that, so we're hoping to kind of articulate that better during this year as well.
Great.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shay Fannion. I am principal resident at Hanley Elementary School, which is right around the corner.
I was in the first graduating class from Hanley. What's your last name? Shay Fannion. Fannion.
F-A-N-I-O-N. So I am here today just to see how we can support at Hanley. I am born and raised in this area, so it's great to be back working with many of my old friends who now have children in the school. So in whatever capacity we can be of assistance.
Awesome. Awesome. Why don't we go over here?
Don Gilbert, just a community volunteer.
Okay. Great. We need lots of those.
I'm Joey Hagan. I'm with Architecture Incorporated. We're a local preservation firm. We've been working with the building, the old Melrose School building, since 1999, trying to get it revitalized and rehabilitated. I'm also the president of Memphis Heritage, so naturally we're in favor of preservation wherever we can find it.
Awesome. That's important. Doctor?
Ernestine Jenkins. And I am basically trained as a historian. I also work in the arts. I do a lot with visual cultural histories in terms of African American cultures. Particularly interested in Memphis and whatever goes on with Black people in Memphis. I just put myself in. Yes, I'm here.
She's telling the truth. She was one of our scholars that worked on the new National Civil Rights Museum, too. So she did that.
Good afternoon. I'm Joyce Cox. I'm with the City of Memphis. I'm the Neighborhood Redevelopment Manager. Orange Mound. I've been with the City of Memphis 19 years. Out of those 19 years, I've worked with Orange Mound in some capacity for about 15 years. I was the Cholo analyst for the CDC when we did the Thompson Street Initiative and all of that. But this time, my reason for being here is because earlier this year we had the first neighborhood redevelopment conference for the city. And that Thursday night in the conference, we had what we call the Taste of Memphis. We gave each neighborhood one table and 2 chairs. Because as you see, we have a lot of people doing a lot of things in the community. So we asked them to come together and decide how best they could represent their neighborhood with 1 table, 2 chairs, and 4 hours. Orange Mound was the first place winner for 2014. And the exciting thing about that was seeing how people can really work together. And as my boss says, connecting the dots.
Yes.
And that's Robert Lipson.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So we look forward to 2015, and I did bring some save the date cards. So that's part of the reason I'm here, and I also work with Dr. Okay.
Debbie.
Right, just wait.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
And I'm Carrie Moore. I'm with the house, Orange Mound, which is on the corner of Sims and Carnes. It's a resource center for women specifically in Orange Mound.
Great.
We opened last year.
All right.
I'm Juanita Tate, and I grew up in Orange Mound, went to Melrose School for 12 years, since Melrose 1953.
All right.
And I got involved in the Taste of Memphis. Mary asked me to help with the Taste of Memphis and Tiger Lane, and so that's how I got involved. So she just volunteered me. So.
She's a lot like that.
Yeah. So I said, when I was 8 years old, a lot of this stuff I can remember.
Wow. If I could look so good at 80 years old, let me tell you, 80 years old. I mean, no wrinkles, beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Maybe that's the plight of the Miss Melrose or something. if only it were true.
I was growing up in Orange Mound when it was the country, when you had roads and horses and cows and gardens and all that.
I can't say that I remember that. Yes.
My name is Whitney Williams, and I'm the education director for Red Zone Ministries.
For what ministry?
Red Zone.
Red Zone. And what is that?
We are a nonprofit. Our main focus is outreach ministry, so sharing the gospel. But as education director, our other position is working with the students at Melrose to improve behavior, academics, and attendance. But basically, we're everything to anyone that steps foot through our door.
Awesome. Wonderful.
My name is Karina, and I live in Washington. I'm a clarinetist, and I run a music ensemble called the Prism Ensemble. And it's a classical group, and we do performances, but we also have a big outreach program. And we've been working with Arts Memphis to just continue this outreach program in Orange Mound.
Right.
So we want to connect with, especially with Melrose High School, and see what we can do, what kind of work we can do there. We want to use the program there, and we also want to work with Orange Mound Outreach Ministries. And the project that we proposed that will start this spring is together with Physical Music College, or with their music school.
All right. Yes.
I'm Leslie Barker. I am the Director of Outreach and Education at Theater Memphis. We've also been working with Arts Memphis and are collaborating with Blue City Cultural Center. Our goal is to work with hopefully Melrose, maybe other schools and after-school programs, well, definitely other schools and after-school programs, and to do writing and performance projects with students, and to collaborate with Blue City, who will be doing things with the older generation, and we can come together and kind of cross those cultural barriers and come up with a performance to help to be part of the 125th celebration. So that's the short version, the short version of what we will be doing. So very nice to connect with all of you. We need to talk.
My name is Eliza Moran, and I'm the operations manager of the Department of Outreach and Education, and I'm a part of the same project. I work at Theater Memphis as well.
All right.
My name is Tamara Williamson. I work at Arts Memphis, and I work with Linda with all the community engagement efforts. And I went to high school with your son, Ryan.
He's on his way to South Africa.
I
today.
saw something on Facebook about that because he was asking for book recommendations.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. That's awesome. Awesome. You know, Memphis is really a small town. And, you know, it's less than 60 degrees of separation. No doubt about that. Less than 6 degrees of separation. So let's just get into, you know, some of the questions that I really want to ask. And I want to ask those people who work and live. Yes. He already introduced himself. Gilbert. John Gilbert. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. One of the things I want to start off with is, for those of you who live in this community, have had a relationship with this community, or work in the community, I want to just quickly go around and ask, what do you think is the biggest challenge? I don't want you to tell me 10 or 12. What is the biggest challenge right now in Orange Mound? Let me start with you. What do you believe is the biggest challenge in Orange Mound? Trying to save our schools. Did you get that?
And turn it Senior citizen building.
Trying to save our school and turn it into a senior citizen building?
Museum.
And museum.
So you're talking about 843.
843, yeah, the original.
The historic Melrose School.
The historic Melrose School, yeah, that was
Right.
$843, right. Okay, what about you?
I think the greatest problem for my very small corner of Orange Mound is education for the young moms. And that would include how to raise a family, as well as how to find a job, as well as how to retain dignity in relationships.
Interesting, yes.
I think the biggest challenge is the sense of community for the young people.
The what now?
That sense of community.
Sense of community. Sense of community. Dr. Ernestine? Okay, all right.
Oh, well, we've already done the drawings to convert the old Melrose to a senior center. We just need to find somebody to do it.
Yeah. So you would agree that that is an issue?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I hate to see that thing just sitting there.
Yeah. So what are you saying that it is right now? Well, what about the building as it sits there poses a problem?
Well, it's just blight in the neighborhood, and it's a horrible waste of resources.
Yeah.
I mean, the greenest way to provide living for people is to reuse the structures that we already have,
Yes.
rather than knocking them down and building new with all new materials and then hauling that thing off to a landfill. That makes no sense at all.
Yeah. So really,
As bad as it looks, it's actually in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
What about?
Yeah, right.
For me, I would say access to social capital. So who are those who were born and raised here and have left and who are doing great things that the kids can look up to and say, hey, this dream is attainable. So tap into Orange Mound's own resources within the city and outside.
It's a really good point. Because we got some all over the world.
Exactly.
We're all over the world.
You
Yeah.
get Orange Mound, Tennessee.
You do. You do. Leslie.
I think what's been said is I share those points of view. I see that the people who are sitting around this table and who have deep roots in Orange Mound and many other people of those generations have so much pride, so much accomplishment, and so much to share that is not somehow being felt by the younger people in the community. So I think that bridging that is essential.
Yes.
That's how. That's how.
Well, that's the challenge. She didn't ask me that.
Yeah, we just gonna talk about the challenges first, and then we might get into the how. Yeah. Okay.
I definitely agree with everything that's been said. I was to piggyback off what you were talking about. I was thinking lack of vision and empowerment, especially for our youth, because there is so much pride. I didn't grow up here. I'm originally from Massachusetts, and I've been here for 10 years. But my mom sent us here every summer, and sent us here for the Southern experience for a school year. But my grandmother's, all her stories of Orange Mound is what fills me with so much pride and the energy to take on certain things that are going on in the neighborhood today. And so a lot of our youth, they're so caught up in being young and having nothing to do that they don't realize where they sit. They sit on such greatness, and there's so much more that they can be doing. And we need to help them to realize that.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right. Adult education.
Adult education.
Yes. I see a lot of, from experience, I know a lot of young men are not taught, like Ms. Moore said, they have an organization to teach the young women to be mothers. Young men need to be taught to be fathers. That's one reason that I am involved Because I see a lot of organizations, they want to do for the women, but they don't want to do for the men. And that's one of the criminal problems you see nowadays, that the young men always have to learn themselves. So they're not learning how to be responsible. So I want to tackle that and the blight in Orange Mound.
Very good. Okay.
Should we-
Challenge?
Have a couple, I guess.
Okay.
But if I may, one of Red Zone's vision, I don't know if y'all know Howard Eddings. He is my
Yes.
boss, if he is Red Zone.
Yes.
But we own the 7 acres of land that backs up to Melrose. And we have our bigger vision is we have the plans and everything set in place for a $3 million building to be put on that plot of land right there. And one of the long-term goals of it is it will be an educational facility, and we call it the opportunity zone. So during the day, after school, the focus will be for the high school or the youth. But during the day, there'll be the computer lab and centers and information set up inside for adults to come in, apply for jobs, hear about opportunities, whatever they need as a resource center. It'll be open for adults as well. So that eventually, and right now it's a 3-year plan for that to come in place as we're continuing to get funding. But so I guess our challenge is Red Zone, since we've opened our doors in June at half a mile down on the left across from the car wash. Last year we were in the classroom at Melrose. We've had probably 175 high schoolers walk through our doors of a school that only has 750 kids right now. And we see about 40 to 50 kids a day. So when you want to know about high schoolers, we're probably the face of those high schoolers, the good, the bad, the ugly. I think one of our biggest challenges currently is exposure. We have a lot of these great young minds that want to go and want to do. And honestly, it's not putting light in a fire under them. They have visions, they have plans. They don't have license, they don't have cars, they don't have parents around to take them places to go get those jobs. That's the biggest conversation I have right now with my kids is, I want a job. How do I do it? How are you going to get there? I don't know. No one will hire me around here. I can't walk. I can get on the bus, just those simple issues. So that's hard with opportunities for them. And then with the school system, something I've been a part of since August is in light of the Kroger incident, it was so publicized as what are these parents doing and why don't they know where their kids are? But I've noticed a challenge in a failure of our school system for our kids. When these kids are suspended, they're out on 10-day suspensions with absolutely nothing to do, no one taking care of them, nothing going on. So they're sitting at home or they're walking around Orange Mound. So that's something we do as well as open our doors up for the kids to come to our center during the day if they're suspended. But the kids that are expelled, the entrance into alternative schools is an extreme gap, and these kids get pushed down. I have a boy that has been out of school for a month and a half with no one contacting him, and his thing is, I'll just wait for my court date to go back to Melrose, whereas an alternative school should have picked him up. Luckily he kind of has a good head on his shoulders, so he's not into trouble, but any other boy, it could be him in any situation at this point, but no one has, at what point, why hasn't a truancy officer showed up at his mom's door to say, why isn't your son at school? No one's holding him accountable, from the school side. So that's a huge gap, I think, as well. And then with the young people, I think our biggest challenge socially and kind of grow them into the real world is the conversation of them being so defensive of, he hit me, so I get to hit him, or she hit me, so I'm going to hit her. And that mentality of, this is what I know and this is how I act, whereas, acting as respectable young ladies and young gentlemen, that's a very big conversation we have often in our building is character. And who are you truly trying to be, in that sense.
Let me ask you, do you all have a red zone sign that you can put in the area of Park and Grant?
Just a sign that
says that letting the young folks. There's a lot of young people hanging there around that that store at Park and Grand, across there from the liquor store right on this side of the street.
Okay.
And they're up and down Grand from Park to Torrance all day into the park over there.
Yes, sir.
So they might not know about Red Zone.
Yeah.
And these look like people that I'm thinking that really need some education and some places to go. I don't know who all don't actually live in Orange Mound and up there, but they seem to be from the age of maybe 17 up to maybe 40 or some, a bunch of them.
But you
up
just
there.
dealing with high schoolers, or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so she just dealing with high schoolers.
But the real criminals are
Well, that's a whole nother issue. Well, unfortunately,
we need somewhere for them to go.
but you know what? That's another issue. At least with high schools, you can control because you know they are high schoolers. And if you start dealing with the 40-something, 50-something, you got a whole plethora of issues.
You can tell some of the ladies are mighty young.
Currently, with our building right now, because we're busting at the seams. Our building is not probably double this size, and we have 50 kids in there every day. But our capacity, it's straight down on the left, across from the car wash.
Okay, look,
Maywood
okay, I need to move on beyond this because I know there are lots of other people who need to kind of chime in. So we've got your issues identified pretty much, character building, yeah. So several. Thank you. Next.
Well, we haven't worked in Orange Mound yet.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we
You haven't
haven't.
worked yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're here to soak it all up.
Okay. Well, I hope you soaked well because we have a whole list of challenges. But it's not. This is not so much about challenges, except the connection is if there are some things that can be done through this celebration to begin to help address some of this. I think this is what we want to do is connect the dots. Because so many times we do things and it's for a day only. What things can be done that can be sustainable over time? So I think as we talk about this next area, I want you to tell me what, yes.
I just wanted to add one thing while we were going through challenges.
Yes.
Because the reason why Arts Memphis chose Orange Mound, there were several neighborhoods to select from. I'm not from Memphis, I should say that first. But when we looked at numbers, we looked at issues of poverty, unemployment, low high school graduation rates. And then we looked at to see where, at least in some of these neighborhoods, where we might have an arts anchor to be able to help partner with organizations to lead towards social change. So those issues exist. And the thing that I learned since, I just arrived here in January from New York City, but the thing that I learned about Orange Mound that really, really hits my heart is that there's no library here. And that's huge when you're talking about these issues of literacy. It hits everything we're talking about in terms of where to go. It talks about the digital divide and the digital gap, if you will. How do you find a job? All these things are related to not having a library branch walkable in your neighborhood.
There's one on Sharp.
I believe there is one, but that's considered
No,
Cherokee Heights.
the library does not consider, you do not have one in Orange Mound.
The library, that's more Cherokee Heights, so that's kind of
a
outside
walkable,
of,
right,
yeah,
library branch.
yeah. But there is one on Sharp, and a lot of people who live in Orange Mound do take advantage of using it. They use it for some of the meetings when this facility is not available, because this facility is busy all the time. It really is. So let me deal with another, and thank you, Linda, for sharing that, because I think that's really important. The other question that I'd like to ask is, some of you have shared some of the things that you're planning or, the agenda for the 125th, but I know I have heard that there are other things that are going on or other things that are underway. So I guess what I'd like to hear is, what are the other things, Ms. Mitchell, that you have heard or any of you have heard about what is being planned? Who is involved in this? Are community organizations involved? Are the churches, because we are a big community of faith community here. Are the schools integrated in any way, and on the table to be engaged in this? So share with me other things that you might have heard about what is being planned, because I know there's a lot going on, but no one person is the keeper of that information. So that I know of. So what other things might you know about? Yes.
As a liaison for Orange Mound,
But you know a lot.
I was thinking, yeah. Okay. I do know that Principal Neal over at Melrose, there is plans to host a special Black History Month effort to be able to highlight some of the people who have come through Melrose. There's also, and people are going to try and be at this meeting, Ms. Mitchell and I, prior to having Dr. Carroll at West Palm yesterday, we went and met with the principal, and he took us down this hallway adjacent to the library, and he was letting us know just things that he would love to happen, There is a blank space, it's a long hallway. He would love to have it painted with, just Melrose heroes, people who come through Melrose. And it was amazing to me, I'll say this very quickly, as he's been finding these jewels and treasures, as they're cleaning up different places, he found a lot of old trophies and he's been saving them, some of them need to be restored. He found a lot of pictures of people that were just in some way, had accolades from the 50s. And the pictures were in perfect condition, so he just hung them, didn't really know a lot about them, they had a little name tag. Miss Mary was able to tell him something about each and every one of them, where they lived, their families, and so he was blown away by that. It was like living history. It wasn't just pictures on wall anymore. So that is their effort that they're working on. There are a couple of community organizations that are planning things. Like I said, they want to do things more geared toward the youth. An organization run by Lynn Fisher. They are reorganizing their name, do a barbecue contest that's going to be the last Saturday in May, which is geared toward just Orange Mound alone. The Orange Mound October event will be citywide. So the May contest is for Orange Mound residents, in which they make a very big deal of. There's also a 3-on-3 contest that they will be doing. I'm not sure of the dates of that, but the contest, I believe, is after the May event.
Is that basketball?
Basketball, yes,
Okay.
up at Lewis Davis, where their home base is usually Lewis Davis.
April.
April? Oh, okay.
Okay. You said Black History Month 2015?
2015, yes. So, and Donna's letting me know that the 3-on-3 will probably happen in April, so it will be before the barbecue contest.
So it's April.
April, yes. Because it is our hope, if not every other month, to have something on and popping like every month next year. They also, of course, the Taste of Memphis is also happening in May, right? April this year, okay.
Oh, so both of those are April.
Okay, April 6th, okay. So of course we will be involved in that and try our best to win again. This same organization will be doing movie night in the park.
Movie night in the park?
Yes. And I'm sure that's probably going to be a few times over the summer months.
And which park?
Lewis Davis. That's where they seem to operate out of. And it's a multi-organizational event. They try to have people, everyone involved. Backpack drive right before school. That's going to be August. September, of course, is going to be our Orange Mound Parade. And with the help of Ms. Boyd, we really would like to turn it into an Orange Mound Community Carnival weekend where we shut down Lewis Davis. In fact, I need to speak with you all because we would love to, like they do the Italian Festival, just gate off Lewis Davis, bring in some rides and activities, and just really make it our weekend. So that's September. Then Orange Mound October is in October.
So when is the backpack drive?
Backpack drive is right before school.
So August. That's August.
If not right at the end of July, but somewhere, depending on when the start of school is, it gets earlier and earlier every year.
It does. The movie night in the park was going to be in what month? May or
It's
April?
probably going to be. It's probably going to be a few times next year.
Multiple.
Kind of dotted in
Yeah.
between, and that's in collaboration with Melrose High School as well. The Backpack Drive is a multi-organizational event, and that's also with Melrose as well. This year we did it, and there were over 300 backpacks that was beautiful. Free haircuts, even some women came up and started braiding hair. It was wonderful.
So is the Orange Mound Parade, the Southern Heritage Classic Parade, going to be tied in with the carnival that you were talking about?
That same weekend.
Okay.
Yes.
So once they leave the parade, they'll have somewhere to go.
Right, and we're trying to look at it as a traffic control because of course half the people are going to go tailgate And they have, we have the numbers, so they'll have something to do.
Yeah.
Right in our own neighborhood.
That's good.
I believe that's all I know about.
Do you know of anything the Alumni Association is doing, or a homecoming weekend, or
I know
anything
the
like that?
Alumni Association is tied with the backpack drive, and they got themselves through a few of the other events happening as well. We were supposed to be forming a true small committee to really set up these events for next year. We have to get on that quickly. The civic organization, of course, is going to be involved as well throughout a lot of those events.
That's great. So do you know of anything that Mount Pisgah, Mount Moriah, Beulah Baptist, any of those churches, are they woven in, or should they be?
Of course. And I know Ms. Mitchell's been trying to reach out with them, especially with the research that's going to be done.
Yes.
And there are a few other people who are trying to reach out with them as well. They probably will help, especially with Ms. Mitchell's event in May. Yes, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Okay. All right, but nothing tangible or specific right now.
Right as
No, you might tie them into December, like a running season of Christmas and celebration and choirs and
I'll check with those pastors.
That would be good. That would be good, because those are very active and prominent churches that have anchored this community for, we got lots of churches over here, Mount Gilead, New Shire. You got lots of them, but those are some of the biggies that most people are very aware of, and they're historic churches too, and have been, many of them. Pisgah was really involved in the movement to a great extent when some of the earlier pastors were involved there. So let me ask a question. So we've got a lot of things going on, or a lot of things being planned in the community. So how do we coalesce all of this into something that will allow everyone in the community to be aware of what is going on?
Is there a Facebook page or something on social media?
Can we not, Gianna?
I run OrangeMoundConnect.com, and so it's a community calendar. Just to say, I've seen the people. You know how we do. When I became a board member at the CDC, I didn't realize that Orange Mound had so many organizations in it. And so it was like, the civic organization, all these other neighborhood organizations. So for me, you see a need, you feel a need. And not everyone really knew what the other was doing. And a lot of us don't even do the same thing. So I was like, okay, we need a community calendar. So OrangeMoundConnect.com is where you can find the community calendar. It's still new. It's been up for a couple of months, and people are starting to use it a little bit more. But I please welcome to come by. What you do is you email your event to me, and then I post it. Just a way of probably to control a few things. It is on the page, or my personal email is TEH@Piles PYLES of Prosperity. PROSPERITY. I know you know how to spell it, but you know. .com. So just email me the way you like it put up there, and I just cut and paste. Give me about 48 hours, but it'll be
What about those that don't have access?
This is what I wanted to say about that. Prior to all the Facebook and all the social media, Orange Mound had a newspaper when there was an Orange Mound Collaborative. Orange Mound had a newspaper, Orange Mound Connection, and all of the people, everybody, it was delivered at churches. At the time when I was there, we got the young men we call them Orange Mound ambassadors, to pass out the newspaper. I was fortunate at that particular time to get with the chair of the journalism department at the University of Memphis, who would let master's degree journalism students come in and help us with the paper, and so it was no cost. So I was certainly like, in particular for the seniors and the people who still come up and ask me now for the Orange Mound Connection newspaper, which still have old copies of it, to get together and start the Orange Mound Connection newspaper. It was delivered on a quarterly basis, and to the Orange Mounders who are the diaspora Orange Mounders all over the world, they were sent everywhere, and every church had a reporter, everybody had the news and this particular intern from the University of Memphis, and they just continued it until which time actually there was no funds to continue it. So it would just be a great thing, really, to start our 125th celebration with the new Orange Mound Connection newspaper. And with Dr. Carol Van West now and the students, we plan the kickoff of the 125th birthday party on May 2nd. And that date was chosen because that's the date that Elsie Eugene Meacham filed his papers actually to actually solidify the fact that he had bought the land for Orange Mound, even though historically sometimes it's listed as founded April 1890, late April, but we chose May 7th as the date for the big kickoff of the anniversary.
It's a great shot.
Yes.
Do you know if there is a list of the alumni, where it's kept, or anything like that?
Yeah, there is a list.
Meaning the existing alumni or going back even?
The
Existing alumni.
You know,
Yeah.
And a way of getting the Orange Mound connect to the alumni. To me, that would be a good idea to reach out to them, even as it relates to funding. You know, you have projects, maybe somebody will, what's the word I'm looking for? Sponsor.
That's a good word. That's a good word. But that Orange Mound Connection newspaper lasted a long time because I remember Francis Tabor was working on that. We developed the concept for that when I used to work with the Orange Mound Collaborative. Okay. So I'm very familiar with the newspaper. Does the Orange Mound Collaborative not exist anymore?
No, it doesn't.
So, okay, it doesn't exist anymore. Interesting. Okay. All right. This is good. Yes.
Oh, I was just going to say, Mary, I've got to be back downtown at 1 o'clock, but one of the reasons Mary had asked me out here was to discuss the possibilities of a pop-up event at the old school. Similar to what they did at the brewery, which actually worked. I mean, it got Billy Orville, a developer, interested in the project because you could see the potential of the location and what the building could be. And it's just an idea that Mary threw out to me a few weeks ago. So if y'all wanted to discuss it.
Pop-up event?
Well, what they did at the brewery was the Tennessee Brewery downtown. They went in, they put in a generator and some porta potties, and and they got some food trucks in there.
Oh yeah. They do that down there all the time. They've done that several times.
They did it for the whole month of May.
The summer.
And the goal was to get people down there who wouldn't normally be interested in preservation to see the building, see its potential, and see what a great space it was. And this is a great space, and it could be a fabulous space. And Mary had asked about the possibility of doing that there, and I think it's very doable. It just takes some effort and a little bit of money. As far as the money down there, it was sponsored by Taylor Berger, who owns Yolo's and several restaurants in town. But the food trucks will come for free. I mean, they sell their food.
Just stay there, and then you just go buy the food.
And then you have activities. We could easily get some dance or some musicians. The Visible School's fabulous stuff. I mean, my office is right on the corner. I go to events there all the time. But I'm sure it would be easy to get performance pieces. And what you would do is you would take a section of the building and clean it up. And by clean it up, I mean sweep it and mop it. I mean not, you wouldn't renovate it. And then string some lights in there. Just string Christmas lights or something off the generator.
It's just possibilities of what that space.
Yeah, and you get people in there and they go, "Look, what a cool building! I wish this was renovated." And that's what happened down at the brewery. And Billy Orville bought it and is going to renovate it.
Yeah, this is.
But the potential for it is, the plan is to become a senior citizen home, correct?
Ultimately, yeah. Well, that's what people are interested in doing.
So does the pop-up event need to be geared to that clientele?
Not at all. Not at all.
So you just want people in there to
You just want to generate interest in the neighborhood. Awareness, interest in the neighborhood and the building and the location.
I do want to say that, and I have compromised on our original plans. Our board is for as senior citizens, but Joey, Dr. Liebers, and others knows that our particular reason for Melrose Center for Culture and Enrichment evolved out of Orange Mound Collaborative. And our reason for not just preserving the building, getting it on the National Register of Historic Places, is the fact that we wanted to put in a historic Orange Mound Heritage Center Museum. Because for people who don't know, the rich heritage of the diaspora of people from Orange Mound is great, and it can be done in a museum setting. And then we wanted to have a genealogy center in there because we feel that by teaching our young people the genealogy, how to trace their roots and everything, regardless of what the historical significance, but knowing how great they are and from what greatness that they came from in the genealogy center there, that they would be more connected with the rich original history of this place. So as different collaborations, consultations took place, the senior citizen place did emerge. But I do want it to be known that we will not lose sight on our goals to put in the Orange Mound Heritage Center Museum and a space for a genealogy center, because if we really want to see our youth, in my opinion, really emerge into their greatness, let them know the greatness that they came from.
And the plans that we did included that. A portion on the northeast corner of the building would be dedicated to the Orange Mound Community Center Museum and Cultural Center.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, it did, and the way it's designed is that's a space that would be open to the public, and then there's a secured entry. It was senior apartments. It wasn't senior. It wasn't a care facility. It was literally just apartment, independent living.
How long does it take to do a pop-up event, to plan?
A month.
They're pretty easy.
It's pretty easy.
Could it be something that we prepared for Black History Month for February, and then your vision of putting these awesome pictures that need to be hung in Melrose, go into the facility and you serve some food and get to hang out and
a pop-up
see
museum.
it? Yeah,
like
pop-up museum.
Things.
And I think that the biggest hurdle that you're going to have, and Joyce, you can address this, is that the city owns the building. The brewery was an independent person who said that's fine. The city is very reluctant to. Liability is a huge issue with the city of Memphis.
Primarily because of the environmental issues, and that's why. But it is actually owned by the school board.
The school,
with
yeah.
us as a landlord.
There's some weird symbiotic relationship. The environmental issue is really not a problem in that building. I mean, the only issue, the mastic in the tiles and the tiles themselves are asbestos. But
we did have a study done. We've had that done, and it did come back with some environmental issues.
There are some, yeah. It's in the tile. It's in the floor tiles.
So, and the building has been open for so long, you really don't know what's in there, and pigeons and birds, and that's the standpoint, the basis of the, with the idea. From
quite frankly, you could do the event in the yard. I mean, it could be an outdoor event. Just set up some tents. Right. You wouldn't want to do that in February.
Okay, let's get back to.
Sorry, and I've got to run, folks. Thank you. I'm sorry. I got to be back downtown at 1.
I had a conversation with Joey, and he said that we could clean up the place. I did contact a person with the mayor's county mayor's office to see if we could get some people to come and clean up that bottom floor, because Joey said, clean up the bottom floor, Mary, and start from there. And that is a possibility that does exist as we move forward.
I see. Can I ask another question about communication? Sure. So we've talked about social media. You've talked about restarting the Orange Mound Connection newsletter. Are there other ways? Sure. Thank you. Are there other ways that we can connect? I mean, because this is a real diverse community. And the reality is a lot of people from Orange Mound may not live in Orange Mound right now, because we live all over. Not only all over Memphis, but all over the country and all around the world. Because I had colleagues that worked in London and who worked, just in big jobs other places. So I guess I think the internet is one way. I think newspaper is one way. Are there other ideas that we need to explore to begin to connect with some of the other people outside of the
I think it would be a great idea to have terms of sustainability, most people are home Thanksgiving weekend. Like to plan some kind of event, come home, and it could be here or somewhere where you have a captive audience.
Almost a reclamation around Thanksgiving or something, reclaiming, you.
I know a couple of neighborhood communities always use the football games
Because
to
Hampton does a
pass
similar
out
thing
flyers.
for Thanksgiving.
I have a Facebook page that's also called, it's Orange Mound Connect on Facebook. And yeah, like you said, there are people in Orange Mound, like in Africa, in Europe. It is amazing that they are finding me. I have about 3,000 friends now. And so I blast all the events, or all the meetings. So I'll be putting this meeting in there, just all this positively in Orange Mound, just to create and keep the positive buzz about Orange Mound. So I find actually that is more effective even than the calendar, although the calendar is a great way for organizations at least not to plan on top of each other. But the Facebook page is amazing and has allowed people to know what's going on here. Yeah, I'm not a twit, so but
have a hashtag.
Okay, you're not a twit.
I'm in the meeting now, Orange Mound.
And Tiana, just another question, and maybe this is for anybody to answer. Since there are so many things going on, is there any time that you convene a group that is involved in the planning of this so that there is clarity and we're not falling over? The thing that I worry most about is, I know Orange Mound is a big community, lots of people, but you don't want to distract, from each other's events. So how do we begin to sort of get that aligned so that we're supporting? We want to be supportive of everything, the veterans, everything that's going on, the barbecue, the work that you're doing, all of that needs to be supported. So is there a time when you convene something where everybody's around the table and everybody kind of lays out, what they're doing?
We have not done that yet, but like I said, we need to get on it quickly. I think in efforts to do something like that, it spawned at the civic organization meeting where they kind of started an advisory board, which is now known as the Orange Mound Council. So the leaders from the different organizations come there, but we discuss everything in Orange Mound. So that's this has been birthed. So in terms of for the 125th, we are supposed to be starting a committee, and so I have been going to almost every organization, and it will be wonderful if there's a place where we can all
convene everybody at the same table, talking at the same time, so you can really lay it out and really understand how things are going to play out, incorporating everybody's activities. So maybe that is something that should be on the table to do. For
So
someone.
you said the group that has come together is called the Orange Mound?
Orange Mound Community Council. It's an advisory board.
I have two other questions, and then I think, Linda, if you have other things that you'd like to ask, please feel free to do so. I love all of what you all have said. As I think about it, one of my board members said to me one time, Beverly, no money, no mission. And that is true. So I guess I'm curious about sources of funding for all of the things that we have talked about today. Are there particular sources of funding that we are exploring, exploiting, to be able to make some of this possible? Because it is going to take some. And I don't know if you already have them on the table or if you're thinking about where it might be, but, can someone comment on that? Because I think that's important.
Now, as far as the Melrose Center for Cultural Enrichment, a former member of our board, you probably know them, Charles Lee, of the Charles Lee family. He is doing a grant proposal for us, our involvement in the 125th with the Community Foundation of Greater Memphis. Now, I don't have any results that I would be happy to announce, but I know that it's ongoing.
Yeah. Okay, so a community foundation grant. What about for some of the stuff you're talking about?
I know the CC is going to be preliminary paying for most of the events for
Who?
Orange Mound, the CDC for Orange Mound
CC,
October.
yeah, yeah.
But there's going to be a lot of sponsorships. There are some companies that would like to be involved, but for me and what I do, especially in Facebook, is promotion and positive promotion. So actually, there are a few people who own their own businesses who've been like, hey, is there a way that I can sponsor something, which is awesome, and it's been a wonderful blessing. But I lay that out on the table, and some events are more for them than others.
Yeah.
So it's basically matching. That way, it's a good fit. But of course, we need so much more. Of course, because it would be so. Right now, it stands for the Old Knowledge Project. Whatever way it is to be repurposed, we are missing some money for that. And of course, the city feels that we are split in the community in terms of what we'd like to do with the building, but everybody is on the same page in terms of, as it stands now, of course, people want to see it demolished. The people who live across the street, it's been like that for 30 years. But they're like, if we can do something with it, let's do something with it. So, I know we're talking about the 125th, but also in terms of that, we're looking for some help. Not only the CDC as well as Ms. Mitchell's organization, we are looking for some funding.
So you're pursuing sponsorships and grants
Yes.
so far to try to get this funded. And I know that work begins like yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when you think about what you're planning to do, if you're going to begin at the beginning of the year and do something that runs throughout the course of the year. The other one question I would ask of all of you is, if there were one thing that if there was one thing that could be sustainable from this 125th anniversary, what would it be? If there would be one thing that could be sustainable, what would it be? Yes, ma'am.
It would be the acknowledgement of the total renovation and preservation of 843 Dallas.
Okay.
To celebrate that.
Okay.
All right. That would be awesome. I'm hoping that this is going to be our first annual Orange Mound in October. I'm hoping that that'll be an annual event.
Okay.
Yeah.
Orange Mound in October. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you want that to be sustainable.
That's right.
Celebration of the community.
Yes.
Anybody else have any thoughts about what could be sustainable? Yes.
I agree with Miss Mary, but my larger vision, the way I was thinking about it all the time, was that all of the ideas and conversations around the arts and the power of the arts to affect social change, that idea really be center and core. It really is at the core of what all we're trying to do, and that it be center and see itself manifested in the completion of that building, but with the original ideas that you had for it. The senior center, yes, but I'm thinking like in the 1930s, the WPA programs when Lamar Owen was one of only 4 black, what they call Negro art centers, and they served Memphis and the entire community. And I'm going to be talking about the history of that on November the 12th at Lamar. And I think that's that kind of model, this central community center that serves the whole community, but has a vision enough that incorporates people outside the community as well, and it needs to be global because of where we are now. I see it manifested that building.
And it is the only building that was built under President Roosevelt's New Deal WPA initiative that's still standing in Memphis. So for us to let it be demolished would be just not
tragic.
Great for Memphis.
Dr. Jenkins, you said that Lemoyne was
one of four black, there are over 100 community centers that the WPA founded for arts, to bring arts to the community, and the change and power that arts can bring. And the Negro Arts Center at Lemoyne, that's what it was called, the Negro Arts Center at Lemoyne. And that's when they brought the famous Harlem Renaissance.
Was it Lemoyne then, or was it Owen then? Was it Lemoyne?
It was Lemoyne then, it's not Owen until like the 60s.
Okay.
Famous Harlem Renaissance artist named Burtis Hayes. And he was selected by the WPA to be the director. And then he stayed and started the art program there. And he painted murals. He taught the children how to paint murals and adults. all over that campus and in other areas in Jackson State University. They've all disappeared today.
I know that's how Ossie Davis, Ruby Dee, they were all in New York. They did the same thing in theater.
So it's a model that has been
And that's
successful.
part of the arts too, because I mean, when you think about the arts, it's comprehensive. You know, it's visual, it's music, it's performing, it's all of that. So the arts is very encompassing. You know, and there's a lot of history that can be told through the arts, whether it's a musical journey or theatrical or, you know, through visual arts. Yeah.
And we could still have a place for seniors to live. Tiana and I, we have discussed this. We have our very different opinions about it. But there are enough empty houses and lands where you could build just a cove for seniors, not necessarily apartments. They could have their own gardens. They could have their own flower gardens. It could be something like a gated community, and we could still preserve that building for what we originally intended for it to be. And it wouldn't interfere with us caring about our seniors, because I would might have to move there sometime.
Hopefully not.
But
yes.
Anyway, my passion, and Tiana knows that we discussed it, is for our original plans, because I just know that it can happen, and I know, as Dr. Jenkins said, how globally significant it would be with us being the first community in America founded and developed by African Americans to buy land and own their own home. How great it would be, and with the plantation owners, their cemetery plot right up the street in the center of this community, where the descendants of slave owners are maintaining their land, which was put in the will of one of the debtors, that this land should never be sold to Negroes. So to me, it's just so significant that I could just levitate.
Yeah. She does levitate, right? What about the other side of this? And I think this is important, and those who are into preservation of culture and history will understand this. What about the documentation of all of this? And what about the document? You know, so much of this history is lost because we don't document our own history. We don't preserve it. We don't archive it for future generations. Like Melrose, who was that talking about Melrose and going back and looking?
Right.
You know, but that's where you could teach it.
Well,
in the arts center,
well, there's a lot.
Museum,
Young people could also go out, and we could teach them how to chronicle and document. Because to me, they learn so much in chronicling and documenting the history of the community that they change their opinion sometimes about where they're.
That's actually what the students at Lemoyne did when they opened that arts center. It was the students at Lemoyne that gathered all the history and documentation on that neighborhood, because the college had always served as like the CDC for South Memphis, for that neighborhood. And so that's what I'm saying, you can replicate, you know, in this particular area. They were the ones that collected health information to give to the city. They always go to those students. You go out in the community, because they knew everybody in the community, and you collect this documentation. When they built Lemoyne on Gardens, it was based on the documentation that the students at Lemoyne went out and got in the neighborhood and asked the people what they wanted in that place before they actually built it. My mother, when she graduated with a library degree from there in 1945, she did her thesis on a bookmobile for the students in Lemoyne on Guard, because they didn't have books.
That's the library.
And that was a project.
The library she was referencing, yeah.
But you know what? Dr. Webb's students are college students, right?
Yeah, they're working on their masters and doctorates.
So to bring a sense of community for the kids that attend Melrose.
Oh, that's why I
If you had somebody like Ms. Mary to sit down and talk to those kids
and help them to understand where they came from. It's a mindset change. You got to change their mindset.
And you got to do it more than once.
More than
You
once.
got to continue to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's got to do.
You know, the kids now have to do the capstone. And if they start in the 9th grade working on a project such as this, and that could be their capstone, because they've got to collect the data.
Yeah.
All of that, make it.
And your students could help them too,
Exactly.
you know, because they know exactly, you know, what would be significant because you do museum studies. So it would be great to partner
Exactly.
With museum
Well,
studies.
could you add one more wing to your building over here and have a library zone?
Yes.
Yes. That would deal with some of this documenting and preserving.
Well, that's what the Heritage Center
was going to do, yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
we're going to do.
Which would be fabulous.
And kind of building on getting the youth involved, you had talked about doing the Orange Mound newspaper. In high school, I remember being a part of the literary magazine, and there were plenty of writers, plenty of artists that are here in your neighborhood. You can have them take part in that newspaper, or even perhaps under guidance creating that newspaper for you, and chronicling, and maybe it has like a genealogy part of your newspaper. And, I don't know, just a thought.
Does that have to be
It's a good thought.
Has a grant to? Do you have to have a grant in order to start a newspaper? Where did you come?
Well, I went to Wooddale High School, and I just had a teacher who was just like, would you all be interested in doing this? And 10 kids came together, and we did it under a Word document. And it wasn't like the fanciest thing you've ever seen in your life. We just scanned photos and copy and pasted things.
And the kids nowadays
They know how to do all of that on the computer.
That should be step one, is the circulation of information among the neighborhood.
I was gonna say, that goes back to what I was saying, like, we have more than enough willing and excited kids that want to be involved in stuff.
That would be great.
But it's the fact that, like, for Red Zone, we're a company of 4, you know, and then it's, start a newspaper. I don't know how to do that. Or we have kids that want to be in a choir, but we don't have a choir, you know, like, we have, if you want kids to do stuff, you got it with Red Zone. And if you want kids to go sweep out your floor, we got community service kids that need to go sweep out that floor. We have the kids to do anything, whether it be because they're in trouble or because they want to do it or because this, you know, a lot of our seniors right now are thinking resume. How can I,
and
what
they
can I
need
do?
that community service.
Yeah, and I had girls come up to me the other day and they were like, we want to do community service. I was like, what do you mean? Like, we want to go we volunteer, whatever you want us to do, we'll do it. I was like, let's find stuff out.
Well, we
So-
just wanted to say that.
We got stuff to do.
I was talking to some people from Rhodes College because they do a newspaper called The Bridge for Homeless, and they sell that paper. But the people who sponsor the paper are people who want to put ads in their paper. So if people in the community want to change the community, small businesses could put the money into the paper so the paper could be produced.
Yeah. Well, and also going back to grants, I mean, sending out to a grant to say we have high schoolers that want to start something to preserve their community, there would be no issue in getting funding for that. You know,
Somebody's got to own it. That's the only thing.
Right.
Because here's the thing about it. When we launched it back many years ago, the Orange Mound Collaborative was the owner of it. So you could count on them producing this publication every month and getting it out, making sure it was distributed. So they were accountable for it. So I guess the only issue is who will be accountable, because that is the entity that would be responsible for getting the kids, you know, involved, getting the Melrose students, getting your Red Zone students, bringing them all together, talking about editorial, how we lay it out, having the graphic artists work with them, you know, on it. So who owns it? I mean, the ownership of that would be key.
Yeah, you definitely need someone who oversees it all.
Yeah, and it can be sustained, because once you restart it, the community expects it. And they miss it when it's gone.
They miss it. And when Beverly said that, it made me think about the Melrose Buzzer. When I was in school, we had a Melrose newspaper called the Melrose Buzzer. And I still have some old archival copies of it. and the teacher at the time was the owner of it by teaching and directing the students to do the paper. And students did the paper in the yearbooks. It was the Melrose Butler staff. It was a great position in high school to be.
I was on the yearbook staff.
I
We did our yearbook. They were pretty raggedy sometimes, but yeah. It's my last day, but I'm going into something else with Mr. Lisco. Well, not working for the city though, just working with him.
So there you go. You still have the time.
With like Robert Lipson. Anyway, ladies, look, Linda, I am actually finished with the. I think this has really been to me a very good meeting, just in terms of what we've learned, and some of the ideas you've thrown out on the table have been really incredible. You know, and might not have even surfaced
But
if
I
we
want to
had
say
convened.
one more thing before we leave, based on what we were saying. Dr. Levers, with the Melrose Center for Cultural Enrichment, she got her students involved, and she did a presentation. We went to Chattanooga to the Southeast Museum Conference. She got her children involved, her students involved, because they weren't children, and did a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation in Orange Mound, generation to generation in dialogues. Then Dr. Levers had the pounds and everything on exhibit at the University of Memphis. So we did start that in about 2006.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah, quick
You know, I've heard all about, you know, where we've taken these ideas and all of that. Has anybody offered us some money?
We have.
Thank God. And I'm talking about that building. My second question is, how much does it cost to renovate?
7.5.
Okay. Has anybody offered some money? Because you got to start realistically. I mean, we've been talking about this since I've been 20 years.
Right.
So you got to create that plan and work your plan. Because we'll be sitting here
and we do the every other year maybe, because they're too big to do every year, and they've been in LA, we've had it in Chicago, they are everywhere across the country, and it's the same result.
I have a question about that. If there is a really strong alumni association for the high school, could there be a big fundraising drive to get those people to give?
You know, I think there could be. I mean, we have NFL players. We have, we have everything that's a part of it. Again, that is an effort that has to be well thought out, well organized.
Right.
The ask has to be compelling. But yes is the answer to your question. We have a substantial group, and even at the all-class reunion, that I think will take place next year. Because then we do one. Is it this year? Okay. This year. Okay. We've done it already. So then it's 2 years from now. In the 2-year period, that might be an opportunity to begin to put together some kind of fundraising package that then starts to define. And then, of course, as a part of that fundraising, I mean, there are a whole lot of things involved in fundraising. You got to pre-qualify your gifts. You got to figure out who's doing what and what their capacity is. You got to have X number of people giving at the $100,000 level, and X number giving at the $50,000, and X number giving at the. I mean, that's just the way it goes. That's the way it goes. That's the way it can be successful. And then you could mount a campaign over the internet and raise it like Barack raised it, $5 and $10 and $25, and you get the masses of people giving at those levels, because those are important too. You need some lead gifts, but you also need the masses of people who can give you, and maybe they give you $5 or $10 a month, and they do it over 12 months. I don't know, but it can be done. It can be done. It can be done.
Ms. Fairley, we may need your help.
Well, I've raised a lot of money, and I'm not sure I necessarily want to jump back into it. but it's Melrose, it's Orange Mound.
That's why.
So thank you all for asking me. Thank you for asking me.
She just asked, what's next?
Yeah, what's next?
Well, I think this information is going to be documented, and some of this will be the basis of a grant that is being written by Arts Memphis to secure some funding for a number of projects associated with the 125th. Now, what we do with some of this other information that we've talked about is really going to be up to those people who lead in this community. You know, I think we've got to be able to define what it is we're doing. We need to create a calendar, a master calendar of activities for the 125th. We need to be able to communicate it to everybody because that's before us. You know, and I tell people all the time, I have to deal with what's before me right now. And so this is before us right now. So what will come out of this, hopefully, will be a master calendar that can be communicated to the whole community and engage the whole community in this 125th anniversary. So that is the net of this discussion. But there's some bigger discussions that need to be had, you know, around the cultural center and around doing other things in the community that will drive change. You know.
But the role of the Arts Council is what for Arts Memphis?
We are the grant maker. We basically decided to invest in 2 neighborhoods, which is a different way of grant making. And Orange Mound is one of those neighborhoods, and we have done a couple things. First, we had a fellows program where arts organizations applied to really learn more about the 2 neighborhoods and how to work in underserved neighborhoods and how to partner and identify partners and all of those sorts of things. And then they gave us a letter of intent with a kind of a plan in mind, and we selected 5 projects that we wanted to invest in, and 3 represented right here. And that's, we have a total of 5, and that's our portfolio. We may add to that, but over the next couple of years, that's our portfolio. We are investing in Orange Mound and in change in Orange Mound by investing in these projects. So, and then above and beyond that, my job is a hybrid because not only do I have to figure out these ways, the fellows program and then the engagement grants, but to actually look for other funding so that we can continue to go deeper, hence taking the notes here to try to apply for Art Place and CERDNA and Ford and you name them all. So just trying to do that so that we can continue to support social community change here in Memphis and once again beginning with these 2 neighborhoods.
What does Arts Memphis need in this community in order to raise the money and have that go towards sustainable kinds of activities?
I'm listening for what I need is all funders are interested in here. They're not interested in us or our grantees saying this is what we want to do. We have to show that the community, the neighborhood is saying this is what we want. So that's by having this documentation and going through the issues and challenges, these are the needs expressed by the neighborhood. So we want to partner with you on the challenges that you identify as opposed to us saying, we're going to help you do X. No, we need to listen and understand and hear what your challenges and issues are and coming together and saying, okay, we can work on these. So for me, this is great to hear them articulated and listed here, the sorts of things that you want help with. And then we can express to potential funders, well, you know, our neighborhoods have said they have these issues, these challenges, and these are the issues and challenges that they need help with. So this has been extremely helpful for me, for us, because otherwise I can, some of these things I can guess, I've talked with Mary before, but it's been great to have this, and I think we should continue with this. I'm encouraging all of our grantees to have focus groups and community conversations throughout the life of their project, because otherwise the project won't be authentic and
That's true.
organic.
Very
Because
much.
they will
Very
do
much.
for instead of doing with. So you have to continue to gauge the pulse of the neighborhood and community by having these constant focus groups. So this one was led by Deborah and Leslie, Theater Memphis and Blue City, but I'm hoping maybe another time it might be Prism Invisible, and another time it might be New Ballet, but that's the way we want to continue these conversations, so it won't be the last one.
Thank you so
you.
much.
Oh,